Well, hello everyone. This is Cocktail Blog number 24. And tonight's cocktail is Powerade. It's midnight. Oh, what a way to pour a cocktail. It's midnight and nobody came to see me at the telescope tonight. So all the beer was locked up by the time I got down there. And cheers. Orange, my electrolytes are thanking me. Anyway, oh, we have music tonight. Okay, enough of that. All right. I'm prepping for the Tower of Funk show. So I'm playing along with all the tunes in the set on the mouthpiece to see if I can get some chops before I get back there. I'm going to have to play a bass show after being back 5 days and a trombone show after being back 8 days. So really trying to get on top of that. Like I started to say, nobody came to the show tonight. It's the third time since I've been here that nobody came up, which is not surprising. We had 2 or 3 groups leave yesterday and today, and only one group replaced them. And they were a bunch of old ladies. So I don't think they're coming up. Maybe they are, but certainly not tonight. We had a momentous event a couple of days ago. We had a cloudy night. I couldn't believe it. I really thought that I was going to get through, 67 days here with no cloudy nights. 67 clear days in a row. Unheard of, certainly in South Carolina. Well, didn't happen. The clouds were building during the afternoon. I thought, well, this is getting serious. They're kind of hanging in there. And sure enough, they hung in there all night. We had a bona fide overcast night. Unbelievable. No big deal. The moon was huge. I did have some people come up and we were able to kind of catch the moon through some breaks in the clouds and even Saturn and star clusters. So it wasn't a complete washout, but it was bizarre to have a cloudy night here. Well, this will be about the last hardcore astrophotography blog that I'm going to do because it's pretty much all done. We've got a couple of outstanding items. And you remember me last time talking about the tragedy of the 12-panel mosaic of the Large Magellanic Cloud and my plan to use 2 half nights to replace it. Well, I did that, and I'm happy to report that it came out pretty well. So here it is. The central portion of the LMC is that thing called the Tarantula Nebula, which I got a really good picture of with the larger scope. And here's that. So that came out okay. And I am happy that I'm not leaving here with nothing. It's also taken the pressure off because now I don't have to process that 12-panel mosaic to make sure that I have something before I leave. So if I can get it working right at home and figure out how to salvage that thing, that's great. If not, I've got something. So we'll just see how that goes. Okay, so while we're on the topic of these mosaics, this is something that's brand new to me. I've never really tried to stitch photos together before in panels. And there's a certain amount of like voodoo magic fairy dust that goes along with this stuff because, like I said, the first thing I tried, which was the Southern Cross and the coal sack, it just went together like magic. You couldn't see where the panels were joining. There were no double stars anywhere. It was perfect. And then the next thing I tried was terrible. I tried using the mosaic tool to put together some photos I had taken of the Milky Way with my DSLR camera, which is on the tripod there. That's why I'm pointing. And I put them together. And when it got done calculating the way the panels were supposed together, I got this. This looks like Salvador Dali on acid. So there's some kind of weird something or other that makes it work or not work, and I don't know what that is yet. But I'm going to figure it out. So I haven't really talked about it much, but I have been shooting a really ambitious mosaic. I had loaded in before I got here a mosaic project for the entire Milky Way that went horizon to horizon. It was 4 panels tall and about 40 panels across. It was well over 100 panels. Well, when I got here, and it took me a while to get going on that wide field scope, it became pretty apparent that that was fantasy land. So I ended up paring it down to 2 panels on top of each other, going across the center of the Milky Way, a little bit to the west and a little bit to the east. And I was on that for about 2 weeks shooting that. You could get about 2 panels a night, and it took a long time. So finally, I've spent the last couple of days processing that. You have to go through and take the individual stack for each panel and process all of that into a master shot. And then you have to tell the assembly program which panel goes where, and it does that by figuring out where it is in the sky. So you go through this process with all 26 of these panels, and it ends up putting it together. It took 6 hours of just sitting there crunching the numbers on the computer, and it ended up giving me this. And I was both ecstatic that it didn't look like Salvador Dali on acid, and appalled because there's a panel missing, as you can see. However, I had this all planned out. I had a chart made. I went through and verified that I had every panel and it's across from its one, and I paired them up, and I don't know, I shot every panel that was in the list. So somehow when it made the list, it left a panel out. Or when I was editing the mosaic, somehow a panel got discarded. But nevertheless, there's a hole in this thing that's got to get fixed. So I got out my Sky Safari map program, looked at the picture, figured out where the hole was on the map, got to the map, found a star that was right in the center, because the way these mosaic programs figure each panel, it's the center of the panel and the camera rotation. So I found a star at the center of the panel and wrote down that address, and then went back into the shooting program and made a panel. And so when the moon is out of the sky in a few days, I'll have a couple of hours before it comes up, and I'll be able to shoot this last panel and stick it in there. I did go scrolling around in there. You really have to zoom in, but you can see all kinds of interesting little tiny things. It's a really good high resolution wide field shot. The 26 panels, it's 13 across, double high, and you can see all of these deep sky objects that I've zeroed in on and shot so well in this gigantic mosaic. So this thing is going to be really cool when that panel's back in, and I've gone through and done everything I can to pump up the color and everything. It's going to be a cool thing. Maybe I'll make a large aluminum print to stick on the wall or something. Anyway, so I'm really stoked about that. Well, because of the full moon, I've spent a lot of time processing all the images I've been taking. Some of them got to a certain state, and then I abandoned them because there was more important things to do. But I can say that I have pretty much processed every image that I've taken here, at least to some degree of completion. None of them are sitting around waiting to be worked on. So I'm going to leave you with a montage of some of the more recent stuff. Carpe Noctem!